Hello, welcome to Quackalope, thank you for being here. Today I'm bringing you a Kickstarter preview of Sparkriders 3000, an insanely impressive app-driven cooperative game where you're trying to mitigate the degree of chaos that's happening on the field or board in front of you. The object of the game deals with you selecting one of the various missions that you have in the app and then going on that adventure, trying to work as a crew to keep everything from falling apart before you accomplish whatever your task is. Whether that's hunting down a pirate, delivering precious cargo, flying from one end of the galaxy to another, etc., etc., etc. The thing that's so cool about Sparkriders is how the app actually integrates with the storytelling. I titled this video something along the lines of better than pandemic, and I really mean that when it comes to the heart and soul of what this game is operating in. They're in a similar genre, right? Pandemic and Sparkriders, they're both chaos mitigation games. You're trying to keep everything from falling apart while acknowledging that some element of the board, some element of what you can control is just gonna be damaged. You're gonna lose one of your engines. You're gonna potentially eject your observatory into the nether of space. You're gonna have to rebuild and restructure and scrap your way through the finish line. And it does that really well. But it pulls the app in here to run the data mines behind the scenes, to update you on how various different environmental changes impact your journey, and to tell you a compelling story. And I absolutely adore the way that they've put these two things together. It still feels like I'm sitting here playing a board game, while at the same time, the app's doing a lot of the middle management, the behind-the-scenes work, the accounting work that I as a player just don't want to do. And then on top of that, it's interacting with, remembering, and involving itself in the course of play, doing its best to tell a compelling story. If you last too long in the asteroid field, the app's going to remind you that you need to pilot to get out of it. If you cross a certain sector or district within a certain time frame, the app's going to let you know that there's a side quest that you could go on to divert your course or divert your attention, but potentially get a better score or a better reward. And it also presents the opportunity for this game to be a competitive game that doesn't just have to be here sitting in the table in front of me. Instead, based off my score and what other players have gotten, I can actually compare my results and hopefully do better and better with all the different side tasks, the quests, and the different scenarios that they have. Sparkriders 3000. The object of the game is typically to survive. You're starting oftentimes at one end of the galaxy and you have to get somewhere and do something in order to accomplish your mission. Throughout the course of that is where the randomization or where the chaos starts to happen. In the scenarios that we've played, we've had things like our observatory being ejected off the side of our ship because there was a missile heading in our direction, various different attack ships, including an alien boss showing up to rip apart half of our units. We've had to build lasers, establish shields, and slowly upgrade our weapons so that we can actually defend ourselves against the pirates that were descending upon us. This is a game that is really about survival. You're going to be using the limited resource of actions and items that you have in order to slowly make decisions around what is the best thing to upgrade, to develop, to design, or the best way to keep everything from falling apart. When it's singing, it is absolutely singing. And when you're faced with a challenge that is insurmountable, it makes you want to sit down and dive back into it again. So, the core premise is you're going to set up the board in front of you here. We have the spark here in the center with various different things already established. A laser built over here in the corner, a shield network on this side of the ship where all the aliens have descended. We have our crew here that'll be taking the actions around the ship. We have two different turrets, one of which is currently upgraded that is going to give us a little bit of a stronger attack. On our turn, we'll actually be able to get 3 different actions with each one of our units. I'll be able to assist, I'll be able to move, and I'll be able to take a full standardized action. So, when it's my turn, I can place down my assist token anywhere on the board. Each one of our characters has asymmetric or variable assisting powers, meaning you have to be strategic on where you move through, and where you end up placing your token down to give other players a hand, because you can really maximize their actions if you're strategic with yours. Now, I can move up to 3 spaces, meaning I can't cross the entire ship, but I can get about halfway across it from any position here. So, like, I could move over here and up into the cockpit, for instance. From there, I have a variety of actions that I can take. In the cockpit, I could command and drive, doing either offensive or speed flying. This allows me to either take off and cover a long amount of distance, hopefully leaving some ships in the dust, or offensive flying will allow me to smash into and potentially make some of these ships that are trailing me change sides. I am trying to destroy, avoid, or mitigate the damage that these pirates and aliens will be doing to me throughout the course of play, and sometimes there's a bounty on some of their heads, and I want to be able to line them up with my heavier targetable weapon. Now, there are a few other actions that I can take depending on where I go here. I could go into the Nexus to take some side special actions depending on the scenario. I could start repairing and tinkering the ship, establishing and going ahead and upping the level of our engines, repairing one of the modules, taking it from being on fire with a code red down to a code orange to a fully repaired system. I could establish more shields in each location, giving me armor that protects against, well, bullets from the aliens that are flying around me. And, of course, I could start upgrading or building modules. For instance, going ahead and placing a turret down here on the bottom corner so that 2 of us can fire off in a single round, giving us a little bit more freedom and a little bit more action utility to help fire and ping ships out of the sky. Now, of course, I'll need the resources to do that, and you'll get those resources by knocking ships out of the sky and collecting their scrap, or accomplishing some of the side quests and missions that the app presents you with. So, let's start talking about the app itself. When I dive into Spark Riders, and this is still sitting at a prototype form, so not everything is going to be here, but I'll launch a game, I'll pick a mode. For instance, here we have the scenario mode. I'll select a mission, and we have a whole arsenal of missions, but I'll go ahead and start with Suspicious Delivery, which is mission number 0. Select characters, and I'm playing with a group of 4 at the moment. Then I will start the game. The app is going to load up and start telling you a story.
This is General Karma. Your journey is about to end. Your destination is the secret Icarus base in a Crypto-4 sector. Without your cargo, their quantum modulator will remain out of commission, and they will not survive. Expect a welcoming committee. There's a price on your head. The most dreaded alien space pirates will do everything to intercept you. You can count on Iris, the AI of the Spark. It is a concentrate of the most advanced technologies of the universe, and will be your most precious ally. Good luck, Spark Riders. Iris, activate the exit protocol of the subliminal travel. Over.
So, our mission is loaded up.
Light speed travel completed. Location.
And now Iris will start talking to us, updating us on what's happening on the field in front of us here.
10,000 astronomical units. Ship status updated. Observatory. Damage during travel. Cockpit and Nexus. 4 armors. Other rooms. 1 armor. Left thruster performance. 66%. Right thruster performance. 33%. Remove the energy tokens. Offensive equipment. Bridge. 1 turret. Deck. 1 turret out of order. Place 2 construction tokens next to it. We are currently in the space environment. Place the environment card in front of the ship's cockpit. And known activity detected in the area. Caution is advised. Place your miniatures in the cockpit. Mission importance. Paramount. Up to you.
So, this app has now established the game that we're playing. Every scenario is going to be different. So we start with a randomized amount of chaos on the board. Some of our weapons are damaged, some of our armor is missing, some of our engines are not at full power. This changes based on the number of players you have, and so every scenario scales based on how you're approaching it. Now, from here, we start deciding how we want to interact with the ship. Like I said, we all get the actions that we can take, and we don't have to communicate all of that directly to the ship. Instead, we communicate certain things. Like, if I had this big guy here, I marched down into the engine room, and I decided to go ahead and take a tinker action, I would go ahead and roll a die to see what my result is. Now, he might get a +1 advantage on this, so that would be a repair action of 3 on the left thruster. So here's where the cool part is. Iris uses a Google Voice or Alexa style system that allows you to actually interact with her and have her respond and change status effects of the ship based off of the results that you get. For instance, and sometimes giving you different answers to different results depending on how successful, unsuccessful, or over-successful you are. Iris, repair level 3 on the left thruster. Over.
Isotopic adjustment complete. Thruster efficiency, 100%. Update the energy tokens on the board. Earn a credit.
So I not only earned a credit there, which can be spent and give you access to some of the extra technology you get in the ship, and sometimes give you access to extra actions and other things like that, I also went ahead and repaired the entire thruster. And you can see here on our little ship module, that thruster now is back to full power. I could do the same thing up here in the observatory if I wanted to potentially try to repair that, but Iris might, depending on how her algorithm works, repair that for us. We don't necessarily have to go heal that. I might get both my thrusters to max power, upgrade my armor in a location, just starting to prepare for the worst because we know the worst is coming, and then hop into the cockpit, and let's say we take off. So I'll pop in here, go ahead and roll one of these piloting dice, and that piloting dice gave me a credit. I'm going to pretend like that didn't happen, and I'm going to go ahead and take a result of 2. Now, if someone had placed their assist card in that location, I could have potentially done one of 2 things. Either got a direct bonus for this, moving it up from a 2 success to a 3 success, or I could have potentially re-rolled that die, which, let's say that's what I did. You get to mitigate some of the dice rolling if you decide to work together as a team. And then I would once again talk to Iris. Now, right now you can see that our speed is 760 AU. We're trying to go 10,000 AU to reach our destination, and we'll run into a variety of objects and offensive maneuvers along the way. We're also currently in the environment of space, which is going to be one of the various environments you can face off against, and it is the most straightforward and calming. Other things like the Nexus Cloud or the asteroid field have different requirements that they place upon you as a team that you have to mitigate and deal with, along with the other chaos that's happening around the board. So, Iris, speed piloting level 3, over.
Autopilot disabled. Speed increased.
So Iris is now recognizing that we're not an autopilot. We have taken helm of the ship. We are increasing the speed from 7 all the way up to 912 AU, meaning we're going to be able to fly a significant distance farther. And that's basically how your turn will be structured. All 4 players will get their full turn, move, action, assist, and then we will move the game forward, hitting the little rocket here. And this is where the app starts to do all of the management work that I really don't want to have to bother with. I want to see a cool story and dive into what's happening here.
Distance covered, 912 AU including 152 AU thanks to piloting. Observatory repaired. I was coded for this. Enemy ship in approach. Color, yellow. Firepower level, 1. Armor level, 2. Enemy ship in approach. Color, blue. Firepower level, 1. Armor level, 2. Up to you.
So, what's just happened there is we ended up going a little bit farther because we were piloting the ship, so that resulted in a direct beneficial action. We also made it so that Iris didn't have to focus on piloting the ship, which gave her a better opportunity to fix the observatory, which she was able to do. So we've actually repaired quite a bit of our ship and taken off. Now, we're still flying at low power with our right thruster, which results in a slightly lower distance than we could have gone otherwise. So one of our other players might have fixed that before actually continuing with the mission. Now, we also have alien ships that are arriving. They'll start by arriving to the back of your ship, and then they'll end up landing on the right or left side, and they'll fire off shots. Whenever they fire off shots, if you have armor there, you can roll some armor dice to see if they break or if they actually get a success and they remain intact. Once you don't have armor there any longer, you go through 3 stages of destruction. First is going to be code orange. Second is going to be code red, with very visceral, fiery locations and items. And then we're going to actually end up breaking and ejecting a piece off of our ship, meaning we no longer have that room, that action, or that benefit. We have to actually spend resources in order to rebuild that room, or potentially spend those resources to upgrade weapons, add shields, and do other valuable things around the ship as well. Resources are limited and they're hard to come by. You have to take other ships out of the sky in order to successfully collect them, or, like I said, accomplish some of those side missions. Now, when that happens, when that observatory gets destroyed, we will update Iris as well, because this app is not only tracking what alien ships are around you, where they might be firing off and dealing damage to you, but also what ships you've been able to knock out of the sky and where your ship actually has remaining capacity. Because if the center cockpit here ever gets destroyed, we've lost the game. And once the wings of our ship are ripped off, we're more vulnerable and more exposed to direct damage. Iris, 3 hits to the observatory. Over.
Observatory implosion. Emergency release procedure initiated. Remove the room from the board.
So,
attention all crew members. Our cockpit is vulnerable. If it is destroyed, the probability of mission failure is 100%. Its protection is our priority.
So, here the app is interacting with us, letting us know that we've lost the observatory, and reminding us that a win-loss condition is making sure that the cockpit doesn't get completely annihilated throughout the course of the game. And that's the core structure, that's the core flow of Spark Riders 3000. It has a ton of different scenarios, a ton of different ways that you can actually interact with it, and every single one presents a unique twist or a unique puzzle that you're trying to solve. You'll have missions, even variable missions, and kind of choose your own adventure elements throughout the course of a scenario that sometimes present different challenges depending on the storyline that you're going through and how you've been interacting with the space environment itself. Overall, I mean exactly what I said at the beginning of this video. I think this is better than Pandemic. Now, I am not the biggest Pandemic fan, so do take that with a grain of salt. But for me, I love how this cooperative game presents a unique puzzle on the field, chaos that's being run by something other than me, the player. All the min-max, all the paperwork, all of the little updates, and the way the story is unfolding is stuff that the app's actually controlling and running for me. And if I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play through a cooperative chaos mitigation game, I want to do one that tells a good story, that provides you with ambience and theme and voiceover and narration and animation on top of that. I think they've done a really, really great job, and I think a lot of families are going to love getting this down to the table. And honestly, this is not an easy game. Just this starting mission alone, I have lost 3 out of the 4 times I've played. And trust me, it's not without a degree of trying. The first few times, we kind of knew what we did wrong, but then it got to a point where we were squeezing the numbers and doing our very best, and yet still, we were presented with something that was challenging, insurmountable in some ways, but also extremely fun and extremely rewarding, with some fantastic endings mixed in there. Now, for those of you that have made it to this point in the video, I always try to provide some caveats or structures in this preview video to let you know what you should be thinking or analyzing. So, if you love Pandemic, if you love chaos mitigation style games, this is a no-brainer in my opinion. It's not only incorporating technology into that system, which appeals to a wide variety of people and provides a different type of play experience, but it also is doing a really good job at presenting a puzzle that is challenging and yet interesting and complex enough that you have decisions you want to make. I do recommend playing with all 4 characters, at least in the prototype stage that we have now, and I recommend that every player plays with 2 characters each. The reason being is oftentimes you can find that if you're playing with a full crew of 4, just like in Pandemic and other games where there's limited actions, you may not get to do the coolest things every time. I might just go repair a module instead of firing a gun and trying to knock a pirate out of the sky. If I have multiple characters that I'm playing, I might get a chance to do multiple types of cool actions from turn to turn instead of waiting. Now, on top of that, there can be a degree of luck or randomization in this game. There is dice rolling. There is the randomization or the chance that we have a pirate show up and it fires directly at our cockpit and potentially we get blown out of the sky because not only did we not specifically repair for that one instance, but the dice or the randomization worked against us in a negative way. That's just one of the parts of those style of games. Whenever you're shuffling a deck of cards and drawing up randomly, rolling dice, or resolving some extra outside of your control effects, you could always run into that. If that's not something you like in games, it does also exist here. And then on top of that, they are still refining and updating scenario to scenario. I haven't had a chance to play through all the scenarios they have promised, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they all hold and what they all contain. I'm hoping for some specific unique missions, like hunting down various different creatures or pirates or bounties throughout space, delivering different items to different locations, and I'm excited to see how they develop it. But this still is in its prototype form, and so I pay attention and keep an eye on the Kickstarter page to see how they're talking about what the story and the progression of the game will be like as you play. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this preview video. This is a very, very cool game. I'm excited to be sharing it and giving you all a first look. Remember, follow the link at the top of the video description, and whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. I'll see you next time. Thank you.